There was a big ass-kissing session at the White House today. All of the cabinet heads are, at the big table surrounding Donald Trump, telling him what a wonderful leader he is. I commented the other day about how Fox News has become, basically North Korean state TV, talking about how wonderful he is. Well, now the cabinet heads get their chance to lick those boots. And, so you've got all this is 11, 13 billionaire cabinet heads. We're just being run. Basically, all of our cabinet members are either billionaires, ex-Fox News hosts, or just sycophantic bootlickers. That's what we've got. And every last one of them was there to just, kiss that onion ring. And, they did it so good. They did it so good. I watched Attorney General Pam Bondi. Not only did she kiss his ass, just something fierce. I mean, I'm surprised she didn't give it a spit shine. It was awe-inspiring, the amount of cuckoldry. But she said that, Mr. Trump, you are amazing, you're wonderful, and you had an overwhelming win in the election, and it was a mandate. Again, I will say, Donald Trump got 49.5% of the vote. He didn't even win a majority. He won 49.5. Kamala Harris won 48% of the vote. He beat her by 1.5 points. 250,000 votes in like 5 swing states go the different direction. We're in a different government. That's just how our electoral college system works. But Donald Trump did win the popular vote by a little over 2 million people. Never mind that Joe Biden won the popular vote by 7 million people in 2020. But no, Donald Trump has a mandate. Joe Biden won by more, but he doesn't have a mandate. Donald Trump won by less, but he won, but he gets the mandate. There's no point of me trying to argue this logic. There is no logic. It's just logic, bro. That's all it is. This is logic, bro. But so she lies to him. Pete Hegseth, he goes, Mr. President, thank you so much for the opportunity for giving me this, this opportunity to do this wonderful job. And you're just such a magnanimous and wonderful guy. And we're about to take back Panama, from, Chinese influence. When the Panama Canal was being built, we were doing it to ensure that we would have control over it. And we held Panama for a very long time, held that power over them. And we finally gave it back under Jimmy Carter, because that's what was it Jimmy Carter? I can't remember. Jesus, I'm losing my mind. But it was given back to the Panamese people. No, it wasn't Jimmy Carter. It was under Bill Clinton. It was in the 90s, the late 90s. But we gave that back to them. Now, here's Pete Hegseth. He's down there with the military, the might of the American military down there in Panama, ready to, put their finger on the scale of whatever they need to do, or just get up in the grill of, the Panamanian president to say, we're taking this back. So, I mean, Donald Trump, he's a dove. He's a peace guy. We're just going to just take countries by force. So, Panama was always one of them. Greenland is, they want Greenland next. Peter Thiel, they want that to be their libertarian island, to live out their John Galt fantasies of Atlas Shrugged, and it's going to be wonderful. And Donald Trump says we're going to get, Greenland no matter what. But Pete Hegseth, he comes up. It's like watching the James Bond movie with Spectre and all of the criminal heads. They're all in the room, and they're like, "Oh, well, crime is up in France, and crime is up in Japan, and crime is up here," and Donald Trump just needs to get one of those buttons where he pushes it, and then one of the cabinet members falls into a hole where it sets on fire. And then, the Donald Trump dictatorship can be complete. I want the button that puts him on fire. Can I just push this button right here? No, that's the Diet Coke button. I want a button right beside the Diet Coke button that fries the guy in the chair that I want. So then we go on to Kennedy, and Kennedy's like, we're going to have a culprit for autism, by September. Which I'll give you 3 guesses. Is it going to be vaccines, or is it going to be something else that he thinks is the cause for autism? First of all, he comes up with this number. He says that autism used to be back in the 70s. It used to be 1 in 10,000 people, and now it's like 1 in 31. Well, here's the interesting thing. I just thought of this. In that cabinet, there's probably like 30, 40 people in that cabinet meeting. There's absolutely, definitely one of them on the spectrum. That's Elon fucking Musk. He's got Asperger's. He's on the spectrum. So kind of proves the point. But he's basically what Robert F. Kennedy is doing is he is trying to find a culprit for this. And even though every scientific peer-reviewed study has proven over and over again that it's not a vaccine that is causing autism, it's just that we are diagnosing it better. We have better scientific tools, and through the scientific method have been able to figure out who's on the spectrum and who's not. And more parents are recognizing it in their children and bringing it to their doctor to say, am I right? Is my son or my daughter autistic? And then they can actually tell one way or the other, whether or not that kid is autistic. We just have better scientific research than we did in the 70s. We have better than what we had in the 90s. But Robert Kennedy will not be deterred. He believes what he believes, and he is desperate to prove it. So, come September, we're going to have another big press conference, and we'll see if the culprit is vaccines, is what's causing autism. God damn, man, it's just in the dumbest timeline. And anyway, going around the table, Tulsi Gabbard, she's talking about the MLK files. The woman was in espionage. The woman did psyops. Tulsi Gabbard, that's what she did in the military. She is an intelligence agent. And she's talking about, we're going to release those files, and we're going to figure out who killed MLK. I mean, look, I don't know 100% for sure, but it's like when they hired Alan Dulles, the head of the CIA, to investigate the assassination of JFK, which everybody kind of assumes, yeah, he was killed by the CIA. So we have the head of the CIA who was fired by Kennedy, Robert F. Kennedy's uncle. Wow, the mighty have fallen. Camelot to Spamalot. It's just ridiculous. But JFK fires Alan Dulles, and then he is picked to head the investigation into who assassinated JFK. As they say, that dog won't hunt. Anyway, so they go to Tulsi Gabbard, and the woman who was in PSYOP, she's talking about how they're going to figure out who got MLK, and then Donald Trump looks over at Robert Kennedy Jr. and says, "Was that your dad, your uncle? Who was the guy? You should be really interested." And Bobby Kennedy's like, "Oh, I am so grateful, Mr. Trump. I'm just so grateful. Lick them boots, lick them boots." Meanwhile, Marco Rubio is sitting in between them, and you just look at the look on Marco Rubio's face. He's just going, like, how did I get in this room? Dude, you are little Marco. That's just who you are. He cucked you back in 2016, and now you are his bitch. And I am not going to give the Democrats a pass for voting for him, confirming him to become Secretary of State. Even Bernie voted for him. Everybody's like, well, he's going to be the adult in the room. There are no adults in this room. Everybody is an ass kisser to the crazy toddler in charge. And then lastly, Elon Musk, he works around the table, and Elon Musk, he goes through his rigmarole of kissing Donald Trump's ass, and then he goes, well, we've just, in 2026, we're going to have we're going to have $150 billion in savings from what Doge is doing. I remember during the campaign, he was talking about it's going to be $2 trillion they're going to cut. Now, I'm glad he didn't do it. I mean, first of all, they fired Donald Trump immediately fired all the inspectors generals from all of these, three-letter name offices that are being doged at the moment. So the people that actually do the investigation into waste, fraud, and abuse, Donald Trump, fired them, and they're gone. So he brings in Elon Musk and his teenage band of computer geeks, and big balls included. Big balls, Jesus Christ. We're listening to people called Cat Turd and Big Balls. And, them trying to make comedy illegal. Yes, I'm Elon Musk and I've got a chainsaw. We are in the dumbest timeline. But during the run up to the election, Elon Musk was talking about cutting out $2 trillion, and then he gets interviewed later, and then it's $1 trillion, and now he's talking about $150 billion, and none of this is proven. None of this waste, fraud, and abuse is proven. Nobody's been brought up on charges. If there's any waste, fraud, and abuse in like Medicare, it is through, the people that make the machines, the pharmaceutical companies. That is the waste, fraud, and abuse. It is less than 1% in Social Security, even though that they're trying to gut that for everything it's worth. Social Security is self-funding, but if you take away the mechanisms, so an older person can make a phone call into the Social Security office and go, what's up with my check? You take away that, you make these people go down to the offices, which, by the way, you've shut down half of the offices. They're doing everything they can to make this so inefficient that people are going, okay, well, maybe we should privatize it like the Republicans say. I mean, it's the MO that they've been running on for 40 years or 50 years. Let's just gut the agency until it fails and then come in and go, well, look how it failed. It's just inefficient. Let's just privatize it. And I got a great idea. Why don't we trade our Social Security on the open market? Capitalism, and let the free market handle it. Like the free market is handling our economy right now. Great stuff, man. Let's keep that up. Anyway, just watching all of these cabinet heads kiss that ass as hard as they do. I've never seen anything like it. I mean, they talk about Obama and how he was like a dictator. He was not even close to being a dictator. They talk about Joe Biden, just a crazy guy, or his brains weren't working. You're right. His brains weren't working. I don't think we should have elected him. We should have elected Bernie Sanders. But whatever the case, I have never seen the amount of just supplication and just groveling and head down, little gorilla brings big gorilla, silverback gorilla, all of their bananas. Here, please take this in tribute. I've never seen anything like it, but it is good for a laugh to watch all these people kiss that ass, because they are a bunch of sycophantic bastards, and they deserve what they get. Anyway, that's the show, folks. Thanks so much for sticking around. I really appreciate it. I hope you guys have a wonderful weekend, and I will see you next time. Take care.